My name is Dan Murray from Ravenwood Marketing. I'd like to welcome everyone to the panel on the value of pay-per-click affiliates. We're going to start with introduction of the panelists. Then I'm going to kick off some Q&A from the podium here, and we'll open it up for at least half the session to audience questions. So think up any questions you have, and maybe we'll strike up some controversy here. First, let me just ask a few questions of the audience so the panelists can get to know you. How many folks in the audience here are affiliates? Okay, maybe about a quarter. And of those affiliates, how many currently do PPC? Looks like all of them. How many in the audience are merchants? And of those merchants, how many allow your affiliates to do PPC in whatever form? Almost everyone. Are there any networks here? People from networks. How many of those allow PPC affiliates? Probably all of them. And are there any other categories? Consultants, investors, etc. Than the ones that I've mentioned. Okay. So of those in the room doing pay-per-click, how many are using Google AdWords? Probably everyone. How about Yahoo Search Marketing? And who's using the MSN Ad Center? A few folks there. Other pay-per-click engines that I haven't mentioned? Couple. Okay, so I'm going to now let the panel introduce themselves. I will start with Adam Viener to my right, and then we'll work our way across. Adam?
Thanks. My name is Adam Viener. My company name is Imwave. We've been a pay-per-click affiliate since 2003. We focus on a lot of different companies, testing to see what works, and then once we find companies that work, we typically build out fairly large campaigns that sometimes are direct and sometimes include landing pages depending on the terms of the program. We also work with a lot of merchants to help protect their brand with adding additional landing pages to help when people are bidding on their trademarks to keep their competitors lower and have more of the space coming to their website.
Thanks, Adam. Mike Jacobs?
Hi, my name is Mike Jacobs. I actually run search and affiliate efforts for an online agency called iMarketing. Clients like Wall Street Journal, Yahoo Hot Jobs, and I'm personally responsible for the management of both search and affiliate campaigns and deal with search affiliates from that side. I also happen to be a super affiliate and have generated a few million in commissions through all of the networks and some of the smaller networks as well. So I have a little bit of perspective on both sides of the issue.
Likewise, we're trying to bring you a pretty balanced panel. I run two companies, Epic Sky and SiteTuners. On the Epic Sky side, we started out running very large-scale pay-per-click campaigns. We were one of Overture's first bidding tool vendors with our BidGuard product and work with a lot of national companies. And then we thought, okay, well, if we're so smart, why aren't we doing this for ourselves? So we got into various affiliate programs and have essentially morphed into primarily a super affiliate. And we use pay-per-click to drive traffic, but we also create our own websites and landing pages to pass that traffic through. And recently, we've seen the horrible conversion rates on some of the programs that we've been participating in, so we opened a new division called SiteTuners, which on a performance basis will improve the conversion rate of your landing pages.
Thanks, Tim. That's Tim Ash on the end. Let me just ask, can everyone in the back of the room hear all the speakers okay? Sound good? Okay.
You're ringing a little, your mic is ringing a little.
It's ringing a little.
Do we have
an AV person? If we see one, maybe we can bring him in. Okay, why don't we just start at a high level and just get a quick understanding of who is the paid search affiliate, sometimes called paid search arbitrage model. Who are these folks? How does their business model work? I'd like to ask the panel, just give us a high-level overview on this particular breed of affiliate. Maybe somebody could touch on the economic realities of their business and where do they fit into the merchants program?
Well, I'll just start. I'll say they're all over the map. I think we talked about this earlier. We recognize that I think there are a couple of planes that separate some. Ultimately, a large portion of it is a straight arbitrage model. And you have a lot out there that literally just playing the numbers and sending it to the same types of landing page that the actual client company will without an interstitial page in between. But then there are also more added value types who will have additional content in between, point out specific offers, mention coupons, et cetera, et cetera.
Or do comparison sites. For instance, we'll sign up in one industry for several similar offers and add value by having a comparison site, sending the pay-per-click traffic there, and then any link out from that site going to one of your programs will pay out for us.
And Mike, for the benefit of the audience, maybe some of whom are beginners in this field, could you define the pure arbitrage play? What exactly does that mean?
Well, arbitrage is, in its simplest form, it actually comes out of, I believe, just a Wall Street term, the idea of buying at one price, selling at another price within a short amount of time and making the spread. So, it would be buy on one stock exchange some IBM for $1.72 a share, selling it almost immediately for $1.74, doing this with commodities. In the search world, what we're talking about is just simply knowing that for every click that a search affiliate might buy take an easy one, on a branded term for the Wall Street Journal, they know that every click that they buy and send over through the affiliate link, they generally get 87 cents. So as long as you're buying your clicks for 86 or less, you are making money, and that's arbitrage.
Thank you. If anyone needs a seat, there's plenty of seats up front. Come on up. Now let's move to some of the changes that are taking place right now in the PPC world. There's a lot going on. I'd like to ask the panel, what do you think are some of the recent notable trends or news stories that have hit? You can touch on some news from Yahoo, MSN's Ad Center, network policy, court rulings, industry consolidation. What's happening right now in the PPC world?
One of the biggest things that we're running into and we've become very wary of is Google has pure pay-per-click arbitrage. They also have their AdWords, AdSense product, which is targeted ads. And you sign up for it in your pay-per-click accounts, but they're really just targeted ads on other people's websites. And we've seen a lot of fraud on that side. So we're very careful when to separate pure search pay-per-click from programs like AdSense.
And even in the non-fraudulent stuff, just doesn't convert as well. The fact is that people have been signing up for Google in mass for years, knowing that there's great conversion rates generally in search, because it's a pull medium. That the folks out there that you're getting, or folks are telling you what they want and they're asking for it, they're more likely to respond to your offer. Well, all of a sudden, when you sign up now for a Google AdWords account, if you don't know to check for it, you're going to be automatically given not search. You're going to be given content sites, and we know the conversion rates don't look the same. We know it's a very different model, but Google's sneaking it in there. At least they allow you to bid on it separately, where they didn't a couple of years ago. But so I think the movement as of late, not only is it bad to start, the fraud's there, and also just a quality level. I mean, I guess you could call it gray area type, but where I wouldn't call it like click fraud. It's not click fraud. I don't know if I would call it fraudulent, but it's just low quality type traffic. Type-in traffic, where somebody doing a misspell ends up on a page with Google results. It's being sold to us as search traffic. And so I think I've personally seen conversion rates lower in search across the board. Especially, they've always been low in a lot of the second-tier engines, but they've gone even lower. But Google and Overture seem to be being hit now as much.
Yeah, I think with the content ads, one of the difficulties is that when you sign up for the account, it's automatically checked off for you, and you don't necessarily know that it's there. They don't give you the option to opt out of it right away, and unless you understand that when you sign up for a Google AdWords account and you put a keyword ad campaign together, if you don't understand that you're getting both search traffic and content, and understand that those are two very different things, and they're not, search is more valuable because they're identifying what their intentions are. Content advertising may be valuable as well in its own form, but they're completely different beasts, and they're being sold as one. So I mean, that's a little fraudulent in and of itself. There is a little bit more gaming going on in that section, and you just need to understand is there value there, and can you track it, and what's the value to you? And the new ability to bid differently is good. I think also, there's a lot of changes going on. Yahoo's announced some changes to their network where they're going to become more Google-like. MSN has launched, and there's a lot of value there. Allows the affiliate arbitrage model, which Yahoo hasn't allowed. There's indication now that Yahoo's allowing a lot more arbitrage than they used to allow. So the game's definitely playing. AOL is going to have their own search platform, which was a part of the Google negotiation to take a stake in their company. So there are going to be more and more platforms that, as a search marketer, if you want to hit the entire search audience or the majority of the search audience, you're going to need to look beyond Google, and you're going to need to understand and be able to track the results of your Yahoo and MSN campaigns, and probably AOL, Ask, and some of the other ones.
Yeah. One other thing under the guise, as they always do, Google, of having a better user experience, they're really going after private label affiliates. So if you have a site, that's powered by somebody else, it's essentially the same functionality with a different looking wrapper around it. They consider that essentially a duplicate result. They'll allow the main site, but they'll really hammer the people that are putting up these kind of private label versions that are functionally identical. And that's one of their stated goals, is to drive out affiliates from doing copycat sites. And
one of the ways that they're doing that, and I think this is actually a new development on the Google side, is the lie of Google do no evil is becoming a little clearer. But now, where it used to, at least you could claim there was at least sort of a free marketplace, that Google has turned the minimum bid function into almost an editorial process. Where it used to be that if there was a flat minimum bid across the board, it was your 5 cents. And then if your ad didn't do well, your CTR went down, you'd be disabled. And you could maybe do a few things and try to get it re-enabled, but ultimately, if your ad stunk, it wouldn't be shown. Then they moved to a model where you pay enough, we'll show you all day. Folks that just had horrible CTRs would be kept even in #1 spot as long as they paid literally $50. They'd go up to $50 clicks. But the worst I've seen has happened recently is that ads that it seems like Google just doesn't want, all of a sudden your minimum bid goes up to $5, $7. Ads that are performing fine. We've seen this in our own accounts. We've had affiliates mention the same thing. You will have, you'll look in your AdWords account one day, you're bidding $1, you're paying 79 cents CPC, your CTR is fine, it's 5%, 7%, 9%, it's fine relative to your other ads, and all of a sudden you have a $5 minimum bid. And I'll say it here, I'm fairly certain there are folks at Google pushing switches going, we've determined that this isn't the ideal kind of content we want. Maybe it's a private label site, maybe it's somebody who's just redirecting. I'm going to stake the claim that they're actually starting to put editorial policy into that and going in and turning some accounts to where you have a $5 minimum bid where you shouldn't. It's not a pure auction model anymore, especially for niche keywords, which they know, and we all know, perform better and convert better and cost less. They're trying to artificially ratchet them up by just putting an arbitrary, much higher minimum bid for you to even run on that keyword. Because they can. Right. Where Yahoo, do no good is their actual motto. Where Yahoo did it from the beginning, they would just not let you bid on a keyword. They would require you to that was low traffic. They require you to bid on the match. So Blue Magazine only gets 1 search a year, so they require you to search on, put your bid on Magazine, and then when somebody searches on Blue Magazine, you'll show. They would do that through editorial. Google seems to be doing it again with this crazy minimum bid thing. Some of these tail words suddenly have $8 minimums. You're the only bidder. You're doing fine. You're getting 20%. You're getting a 20% CTR, but they don't like that you're only paying 4 cents. So they're going to disable you effectively to this high minimum bid and force you to go get that keyword or show up on that search by going through the more heavily searched term. So essentially, both are pushing you to a smaller base of keywords, and they're going to charge you more for, but at least Yahoo's doing it up front, and Google's doing it, we think, with this ridiculous minimum bid system.
So what about, let me just say, anyone in the back, if you want to come up, there are some seats in the front if you'd like to sit down. Let me just ask, are any of you guys using MSN Ad Center, and what sort of results are you seeing so far on the beta?
Yeah, I'm using it a little bit. I've started to put more and more campaigns on there. The traffic volume isn't as high, but if you look at what you were doing in Overture before, in Yahoo search marketing before, and you know that you can look and see, well, 50% of my traffic was coming from MSN, and now MSN's not going to show Yahoo ads anymore. You understand that if you want that 50% to stay in your business, you need to be on MSN. It's a different model. It's another system you need to learn, and it's a little bit different. But I think it's getting more and more effective. I think their launch of Vista is going to push a lot of people to search through their platform. And I think it's part of the growth opportunity in this industry right now is figuring out how MSN works, getting your campaigns up and running in there as fast as possible, and moving into that direction, because Microsoft needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah, so it's back to the big three again. It used to be big four down to big two, and now it's back to big three. You can't really not do MSN. They still have a lot of kinks to work out. The quality of the traffic is questionable for some of our campaigns, working for others. We can't seem to get the lost volume on Yahoo back on MSN. There seems to be less traffic than we lost on Overture. What else?
Well, you mentioned kinks. Tim mentioned kinks. I think smart affiliates, smart folks doing search are going to recognize that those kinks can be taken advantage of. This is arbitrage. Arbitrage situations come from seeing where there's a kink and taking advantage. It's essentially, to me, a new network. Well, it's obviously a new technology, but every engine goes through a learning curve of things like, what do we do with editorial? What do we do with our interface? And MSN's going through its now, and I think there's a whole lot of opportunity. So one is there's less competition generally because fewer are in there, but there's an opportunity to make a higher margin there for the smart search affiliate.
Yeah. Affiliates are all over it. If you have a popular offer and your affiliates use pay-per-click, the one thing MSN doesn't do is deduplicate the same URL. So you'll see 20 results with the same display URL. So they're pretty affiliate friendly at this point. Their customer service sucks. So you take the good with the bad.
Unless I will say it's pretty much open game until a trademark.
Yeah.
Until a trademark owner tries to step in, because we have a few clients that we're running obviously MSN programs for, and Google has a pretty advanced trademark policy and team. MSN's at least trying to build one, and they've actually removed ads, that are abusing the trademark, or technically you're not supposed to be able to bid on a trademark if the trademark owner doesn't want it. The actual execution has been lousy, to say the least.
So thanks, Mike. Let's use that as a segue into just the pros and cons of having paid search affiliates in your program. What value do they bring? What problems do they cause? What do they do well or poorly? And what are some of the unintended benefits or negative consequences of using paid search affiliates in your program?
Well, we should start with the positive, I guess, right? I think there was a link share ad that came out about 6 months ago, I think, in Revenues, that I think kind of said it best for the mass affiliate, for the non-value add, let's say PPC search affiliates. But in the end, there's one person holding up one sign saying, buy my whatever, frogs.com, or and selling a frog, and then the other picture was 100 people holding up similar signs. In the end, especially in this world, especially in search, more visibility is better. Assuming you're not, and especially if you were talking CPA, we're talking the affiliate world where everything is performance-based, you're only paying for the sales, the ability to get more eyeballs, the ability to be in front of more people and with more presence, and instead of one Google ad, have 7 Google ads, I think is tremendously valuable, especially when competitors in your space, especially when you're talking about generic, non-branded terms. There's more ads, and the ads are essentially free until you get a sale. So I think that's the obvious, pro number one.
And with trademarks, it becomes trickier. Let me just read a little segment here from this current issue of Revenue magazine. There's an article called "The Search Tug of War" that I would highly recommend. It says, some merchants argue that searchers using trademark names have already made a brand decision and should be brought directly to the merchant site. They see no reason to pay an affiliate a fee for bringing them a customer who is trying to come to the merchant in the first place. Then it continues, but Randy Anton, search marketing manager of Travelocity, notes that when Randy Anton notes that when his company restricted its affiliates from bidding on branded keywords, quote, The spaces in the bidding were soon replaced by our competitors' affiliates. Searchers clicking anything other than Travelocity's single ad might end up buying from a competitor.
They're right.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. Road blocking, as we call it, is perfectly valid. If you want to protect your brand, you can hire pay-per-click affiliates to take up more real estate. The choice you really have is between getting the sale at reduced value because you have to pay an affiliate commission, or losing it to one of your direct competitors. For instance, we're in an industry where there are two major competitors. One doesn't allow us to bid on their trademark terms. So we join the affiliate program of the other one, and we have a comparison page and a URL that says why company number one sucks. And we send the traffic to the comparison page, and we highly recommend the alternative company. And a lot of the traffic's going there, and we're getting paid on it. We'll figure out a way to monetize your brand, even if it's a way you don't like.
Well,
and that's the truth.
We do have to. We do. I think the comparison you just made, the value prop you just gave, was a little off. It's not just a question of. It's not simply do I lose the sale or do I get it at a reduced commission. It's do I lose some sales or get some at reduced commission and also make less on some sales I would be getting otherwise. So yes, this is not a. Let's not pretend that somebody searching for, whatever the brand is, Overstock.com, searches for Overstock and always clicks the first ad that the merchant has. They might click yours instead. They might click mine instead. So some of those guys that, if there was only one ad, would click on you, will end up on your affiliate. So you do have to consider that part of, I call it the tax. Similar to the Google tax, you have to pay for your brand in the first place. So I think you not only have to manage, you will see profitability for those individual transactions that a search affiliate's going to take, but you have to balance that against some of those would have been yours also. So that's something, those numbers have to be balanced against each other. And for the record, in the search programs that we mentioned, we generally, for the most part, do allow branded bidding, but in a controlled way.
I think there's been a lot of back and forth in this industry where, initially everyone let their affiliates do whatever they wanted, and maybe not even looked at what they were doing. And some of the trademark stuff got bastardized, and the merchants got unhappy, and they went the totally opposite route. And especially with the Google change with one URL per account, said, okay, we don't want you to bid on our trademark, we don't want you to use our URL. So that they went to the total opposite side of things. And I think some of that has also been driven by some of the search agencies where companies will go out and they're outsourcing their search advertising to an agency, and the agencies are telling them, because they're getting paid on a percentage of ad spend, they're saying, well, you shouldn't allow any of your affiliates to bid on anything on search engines because we can do it all for you because we're so great. And it's a fallacy. And what happens is, because they don't want to have to compete on quality with the affiliates to make sure their ads get shown, and they want to get paid on the per spend, they just want everyone to be gone. And I think merchants need to look at the complete picture, and they need to say, okay, yes, we need to do some search, and search needs to be a big part of any merchant's campaign, and they should be doing their own. They should either outsource it to an agency or do it in-house, and they should do it right. But they need to understand that you can't do it all. And a good paid search affiliate can cover a lot more space and a lot more ground than your search agency will. A search agency, for your words, 10,000, 20,000 keywords. You talk to some good paid search affiliates, you're talking about 30, 40 million keywords under management, 1 million keywords for a specific campaign. They're
But you could flip that around. I guess I'll go a little con here. In the end, there are agencies that run search campaigns that have a whole lot more keywords than search affiliates.
And that's true, but the bottom line is, if you put them both into the bowl and let them compete, the quality is going to run out. And what's going to happen if you track it is that if you track your total number of sales and you don't say, well, this is my total number of search sales from here, there, the pie gets bigger. And yes, your search campaign may shrink because your affiliates may eat into some of that, but your overall growth of sales that you're going to be driving to your company is going to get bigger by having good search affiliates in your campaign. And on the brand side, what I've seen happening, because it went from one side to the other, is that companies are still saying, no, we're not allowing all affiliates to bid on our brand, but especially for these merchants who have competitors bidding on their marks, are saying, let's find a few trusted affiliates that we know aren't just going to bid on our brand and are going to add more value to our platform and to our program. Let's work with them. Let's work on what the brand is going to say. What is the brand message? What is, if there's a landing page, what is that going to look like? And let's work together to create that look and feel so it protects the brand image we want to present to our customers. And let's let a few trusted affiliates manage that for us so that we can hedge against the competitors, because at any given time on a search term, there's a results page, and you want as much real estate on that results page for your company as opposed to your competitors. And at the end of the day, that's going to drive the most business to your company.
Adam's got a great point. It's not an all or nothing, but there's an important distinction to be made here. There's your super affiliates, the ones that are using pay-per-click as the tactic, and then there's the great unwashed. There's all the little mini affiliates that have 1 or 2 sales a month, and it's not worth picking up the phone to, if they call you. So your super affiliates you have to treat with care, because they're going to go work for your competitors if they're not going to work for you. If they already know your industry's paying out, you tick them off, they're going to go somewhere else.
Which is part of why you can't invest too much in them.
Right. Well, that's. I think that it's important to give your best super affiliates pretty much open reign. Say you 3 or you 5 can go bid on trademark terms. We trust you. You're going to take care of our brand and our messaging. And then everybody else, don't allow them, because what you're doing is you're making it real hard for your quality affiliates to make any money by just destroying their margins.
We're certainly seeing that as a trend at our company, where merchants are contacting us, hey, we want you guys to be one of 3 trusted affiliates. We've heard about your reputation, and we don't want to just release this to the masses, but we do want to get the power of a super affiliate behind this.
I mean, in the end, it comes down to management, and you have to actively manage both. You made a good point, in that in the end, what matters is your total number of sales and the CPA at which you get them. And that, again, comes down to management. I've seen scenarios where we've come in and a client has done some search or limited search, and they have an affiliate program, and there's 1 or 2 super affiliates who are basically driving their search volume. They're picking up all the key brand terms, picking up a ton of volume. And the client, the merchant, thinks that super affiliate is God. Oh my God, you're getting me all this stuff. Part of it is because their naivety, their lack of knowledge in search. And when you go and dig deeper into these situations, you realize a lot of it was just them picking up, the easier branded terms, asking for, gigantic commission rates because it seemed like these were added sales, but ultimately they were just playing the arbitrage game. So I think the management angle, not only, I'm all for the, limiting a number, going with trusted, but as Tim just said, if things aren't working for him, he'll go somewhere else. He'll go to a competitor. Well, you can't have 1 or 2 big search affiliates who are ready to turn on a dime as soon as your competitor offers $2 more. And that's happened. We've seen that in the past with some clients. So ultimately, you need to have enough of you need to diversify your risk, I would say. You need to have enough in there to know that if something happens with one, there's still some coverage. So you have to manage search affiliates. You can't let them manage you.
Well, it's also the relationships. If you have a relationship with a partner who's been working with you for a couple of years, and all of a sudden a competitor comes and offers them $2 more, they're not going to jump for the extra $2 because they don't know what the conversion rate is. If you've had a relationship and you've dealt with the affiliate for a long time, they're going to talk to you. It's creating the win-win situations where you don't have to worry about someone jumping for a quarter or $1 here or there. That's not the kind of relationships that companies that are built for long term and they're going to sustain in your programs are going to be working for.
Yeah, and that's true. And as part of that relationship, you also get a lot of value out of your super affiliates. For instance, they'll put up their own landing pages that in many cases will convert better than yours. They'll tell you what's wrong with your site, with your payout structure, with how you're positioned against your competitors. They'll tell you news from your competitors in many cases that will be helpful to you as competitive intelligence. So there's a lot of value there in those long-term relationships.
I completely agree. That's our experience. If we've spent 18 months working with a merchant, building campaigns that entire time, we may be spending 6 figures a month spend of our money to drive clicks. If something goes south, we'll often keep working with them. We may lose money month after month after month trying to make it through that bad time to where it gets better. We feel a commitment to the merchant And we hope they feel that toward us, too.
Well, if
So
everybody was like,
mercenaries, but with a heart.
but if everybody was like these guys, sure, things would be great, but they're not. It's not always the case. If you get this panel to all work as your search affiliates, things are great, but not everybody is like that. And I think ultimately, I personally, as a search affiliate in the past, I've jumped for $2. In the end, arbitrage game is about finding the opportunities.
You didn't have a long-term relationship with that.
Some of them I did. Some and some I did, and then they screwed me. I would say, but not in a there's a management change. Oh, of course.
You gave them a chance, right?
Yeah.
Right, you would generally give them a chance. But the point I've seen folks, you can't always keep. Sometimes the structure. A client can't offer a certain price point anymore, or things change, and we see search affiliates move around a lot. We have seen it.
Okay, well, so speaking of that, as long as
So
we're-
find the good ones.
Yeah.
Find the.
Then we're going to take audience questions right after Tim's comment.
Yeah, and the other thing I would throw in is also in this pool. I think you have folks that do try to add more value, but a lot in that pool also be folks that may only go for your top terms. You also in your weeding out process. So if you've decided you can have search affiliates, obviously go for the best, but you need a process to pick good ones, and part of that process should obviously be a trust factor and working with a good relationship, but also ones that will not just take your top branded term, but will go deeper in, that will actually do things. And that's not always the case.
Okay, here's also something that's really important. Merchants in the room, raise your hands again. I just want to see who you are. Okay, how many of you have a perfect website? Okay, 2 of you. Okay, the rest of you.
Liars.
You two are liars. That's right there. The rest of you need to go home and fix your conversion rate. Because remember, we're getting a fixed amount or percentage of sale. If you fix your conversion rate, our profit margins, which might be small, all of a sudden skyrocket, and we're willing to drive a lot more traffic. So you don't have to change your payout structure. Just go home and fix your conversion rate. And then we'll love you.
Yes,
Okay? And then you
good
can
point.
afford to pay more if you want to, or at least have us scale up our programs because we have more margin in it all of a sudden.
Well,
We're
it would-
getting more bang for the buck.
Obviously, if you're a merchant, you would think you want your conversion rate to be improved for your own stuff. You're spending whatever, your offline campaigns, online campaigns, whatever, you want to be better. But, in truth, that is the thing we see. With our clients, we see it. I've seen it as a search affiliate. But if conversion rate, I say, has an exponential effect on profits.
How many of you are doing conversion tuning on your landing pages?
Tim's little plug. Tim's going to start his blog.
How many are you working with Tim?
How many?
No pitching
Tim will
from
be
the...
giving out his cards at the end, but it's something that needs to be looked at. You want to pay more, that's one thing. You increase your budget, but ultimately conversion rate increases have an exponential effect because they do two things. If you're running a campaign and suddenly your conversion rate doubles, you get twice as much, obviously, sales from what you paid, from your budget. But the other thing that happens is essentially your budget allowance gets bigger. If we're talking an arbitrage game, okay?
Things that are
Right.
negative are all of a sudden ROI positive.
So I could buy 15 cents a click. I'm making money, and I buy 1,000 clicks, and I'm spending some money. But all of a sudden, if my conversion rates double, I can actually afford 30 cents a click, and that may give you 4, 5, 6 times the amount of traffic in the Google bidding model.
Yeah, because if you
Right.
bid into higher positions, you get an
Exponential traffic.
Exponentially.
increase in traffic, or at least linear. So-
Plus the additional sales that you're getting simply by converting more of those people.
Okay, so if I could just ask us to shift gears a little bit. Rose is in the back with a microphone. She's going to walk around and take some questions. I think we have one over here from, let's start right here.
EpicSky.com.
Hi, my name's Dory. I represent NASCAR. We're actually going to be launching an affiliate program probably in the next month or two. We're trying to acquire members into the official NASCAR Members Club. We're going to be launching search with our affiliates before we launch with a program internally, and we'll probably outsource that to a specific search marketing company. My question to you is, what is the most effective way for me to actually roll out an affiliate search program and then roll out one that I'm going to be managing internally so that I can do two things? One, make the affiliates the most money, and also not compete against myself and basically drive up all the bids.
There's always going to be tension. You will be competing against yourself. Like like Mike was saying, it's a trade-off. So do you get more sales at a lower margin, or do you get fewer sales, take them direct and at a higher margin? Restrict it to a small number of trusted super affiliates if you're going to do that. And the good thing is, since you're starting fresh, you're going to be able to see the impact of your own in-house campaign and see whether there's cannibalization. So that's actually a good way to do it. You have a really strong brand. It's one of your key strengths, so take advantage of it.
We don't have any competitors. So
Well, we actually, for a lot of clients, we've had to launch both. Generally, we'll start with search. The reason being is, if you limit it to 1 or 2 search affiliates, you're going to mitigate this problem somewhat. But the challenge that we find is affiliates get very, obnoxious might be the word. There's a sense of almost entitlement sometimes with search affiliates. Like, these were my sales, I'm losing them. And so we've actually found that it's a lot easier to have your program and then slide into affiliates, and then whatever they get their sales, and they don't see them have 2 months later, which has happened. We've had affiliates call in and curse people out. Like, oh my God, you took away my sales. But meanwhile, all they were doing was taking the brand and arbitraging it. So I would, one thing, try to get your search efforts going as soon as possible. 2 is find a search program that knows how to, an outsourced manager that actually knows how to do both, knows how to do the affiliate game. Yeah. I got to tell you, most out there are going to turn around and say, don't do affiliate, or oh, let us keep the branded words. You need somebody that does both. And what we do, we call it controlling the landscape. That not only do you want to make sure you're number 1 and then your super affiliates are 2 and 3, but you need somebody who can intelligently talk to these guys and say, keep your bid here, or take these terms, and know how to actually work with them. If you have a search, if you outsource your search program management to somebody who does not work with affiliate, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. Sure.
I think
he's got his business card right here. Yeah.
Real quickly, I think you may be going around it backwards. I would launch your own search campaign first. Make sure the search agency understands you're going to be adding affiliates, and that's going to be part of the process. Because if you don't have a benchmark. You don't know how much you've gained or lost, and yourself and your management team that you're going to report to is always going to be thinking, how much am I losing to my affiliates? If you don't have a benchmark to test against on what you can drive on your own, you don't know what incremental value you've added by layering on another approach. So I would launch your search campaign first.
Or figure out conversion, or figuring out the numbers that you're going to take to the search affiliates. Part of the game of running a good affiliate program is knowing the right offers to give, the right allowances. If you don't know what your own metrics are in search, how are you going to decide what to pay a search affiliate? And it even goes into things that help. If you want one of these guys to be a search affiliate and you hand them a page and it converts horribly, you know what? They may never come back. But if you run your own search program, test 3, 4, 5 of your best landing page, or just hire him, and come when you go out to affiliates and the offer works, that's good. If you take your offer out to affiliates and it's not converting, you may never get them back. So testing your own stuff in search, from metrics, from conversion rates, from payout dollars, is going to go a long way when you do take the offer to the affiliates.
And you have to allow the affiliates to bid on your brand, because we're not going to be just cherry picking the branded terms, but if we can't make the program, like Mike was saying, work on just your branded terms, we'll shut it down. We'll do a small scale test. If it doesn't work on the best stuff, game over. We're not going to bid on general terms or try to build out that keyword list.
Okay, why don't we move on to the next question, Vinny?
Hey guys. So I want. Sorry. I want to just share some things that we've been doing as a company. In some cases we've got $1 million plus year contracts as an affiliate. Okay, and the contract itself is really what's in CJ. Okay, so this the term we accept, 7 days outage, and our investors and management have looked at this part of the business and said this is not really. How sustainable is this and how secure is this as a line of revenue stream? So we've actually gone and put together legal documents and contracts for our merchant partners, which we've pushed through CJ, so they've actually gone with us, and we've taken through to the merchants, and we've signed long-term contracts and 6-month, 12-month contracts where we renew it on a basis. So Mike, no, if someone gave me $2 more, I'm not going to kill the contract. And
but
then
I'm just saying, is the contract meant mainly to address to make sure you're going to get paid?
No, the contract's addressed to make sure that we have a relationship in place which is formal.
So it's
formalized.
so it's you as a search affiliate. It's outlining your responsibilities.
Yes, I mean typically
Yeah,
when
good idea.
we invest in a merchant, I'm sure there's some people in the audience who we work with, and we invest $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in losses just getting a campaign to work. And one of the biggest problems we have with that is if we're halfway through a 2-month or 3-month cycle and we're 20 grand in the hole, and they decide to pull it at that point in time,
Gotcha.
we're not going to get the money back later on. Yeah. So what we do is we work closely with them and say, look, this is a long-term project. This is something which doesn't happen overnight. You guys will attest to that. Building up profitable campaigns for search affiliates is not an overnight success story. It takes hard work, lots of effort, lots of analysis, and we ramp it up over time. So as an affiliate, and affiliate's probably a bad word, call it a performance marketer, we want to make sure that there is a long-term view on what we're doing for the merchant, because it's pointless just handing out information to them, showing the keywords that convert, and then they just do it themselves, or they decide, hey, listen, we don't like what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
so
we
that's
would never show a keyword list to anybody.
They can pick it up on their log files.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. What we do is we sign side contracts, a year or longer, and if you're going to make us kind of semi-exclusive super affiliate to do your pay-per-click, you should have an out, which is we're not performing. So you can say, okay, if you can't drive this level of traffic, we have the option to opt out, okay? But in exchange for that, we're willing to give you a semi-exclusive or a limited exclusive.
Can I throw in a question?
A year or more.
Can I put in a question?
sure.
How many is the right number of search super affiliates for you? What's your advice?
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
can why not?
Next question, or do you have a question?
I've got a question. So that was a bit of sharing.
Part A, Part C. Question.
The question to the panel is, in terms of display URLs versus landing pages, okay, what are your views on, and what do you think merchants should do with regards to policies on either or both?
Well, obviously you need a strong policy to start with. Stay off the client's visible URL in Google. And we've actually had to spend. You'd think search affiliates would all play cleanly, but every month someone or other suddenly starts bidding on your main URL and maybe only see it on a subterm because they're not bidding high enough. So you obviously have to set very clear and upfront policies. Stay off our visible URL and variants of it. A lot seem to think, well, I can't bid on WSJ.com, but if I put in subscribe.wsj.com, it'll fix. No, it doesn't work. So you have to be very clear. Please don't use WSJ.com or any variant and give examples. And we actually have a separate search affiliate policy that will generally, like a template, we'll use with the client. So you have to be very clear with that. Second, the ads clearly work better when it's the real client URL there. We've tested that back and forth. You clearly get a higher CTR in Google, and we know that goes a long way with having the client URL. However, if you need to have duplicate ads, generally you can't. You need to use different visible URLs. So the question you need to answer for yourself, we lean towards allowing it, but is to allow affiliates to have kind of co-branded landing page URLs, WSJaffiliates.com, or some might, WSJ dot, their own site. Well, no. I'm talking about just your. These I wouldn't call white label sites. These end up being essentially bridge pages. Not that these are great, but I think of a white label site as literally a duplicate content, a duplicate interface. I mean, one of the strongest examples I know is like 123 Inkjets has like my Inkjets, and it's the same site, and you can scroll through it, but it stays there. I think of that as the private label site. What we're talking about basically just affiliate bridge pages, that type.
Yeah, the display URLs, the company name converts better, clearly. Some companies try to manage their affiliates by just saying bid less than us. So they're always showing up on the words that they're bidding on. It's never the affiliate's ad. And that's reasonable. It's a little more of a headache from our standpoint because we have to look at bids and make sure we're not appearing above the company. But that's a reasonable way to deal with it and still let them have the same display URL.
I think the whole display URL issue was a knee-jerk reaction to the Google policy, where Google said we're only going to show one ad per URL, and the merchants heard, oh my God, they're only going to show one ad, so it's either their ad or my ad, and if anyone uses my URL, my ads are never going to show, and I've lost all my advertising on Google. And I think that was wrong, and I think that There are a lot of search affiliates who want and are good at testing a lot of variations of keywords that the merchants don't. And by allowing them to use your URL, they can run a quick test and can prove a conversion rate to see whether your program works or not. If you force them not to use your URL, now you're telling these affiliates that in order to start working with you, they have to build a landing page, they have to buy a domain name or set up another site. They've got to run keywords to that site, and that site may or may not convert, but they're not necessarily knowing whether your program converts. They have to decide whether your program's converting or whether their landing page is converting, and they may not be sure.
Yeah, so it's more work up front if you're making us do our own landing pages, and as most people know, every time you have somebody click, you lose a significant portion of the people. So it might be profitable if we send it directly to you, but if we have to stop at our landing page and a third of the people don't click through, all of a sudden, there goes the economics of the program.
But
So
you know what? You're a merchant with a brand. It might hurt the economics of these guys. Might make things slower, but you need to have your own page. In the end, you need to be running your own search program.
But that's not the question. The question is, as an affiliate, if I take your link and I say, click here for the Wall Street Journal, here's a deal that you've offered, the 2-week free trial for the Wall Street Journal, and the URL says WSJ.com, and they click on it and they get to WSJ, I'm just augmenting your advertising platform, and the clicks that I'm getting are adding to the pie, and you still need to take a step back and look at your overall profit and what is your cost per acquisition on any sale that's coming through. And as long as you're acquiring customers for the right amount of money, you should allow that.
But you're replacing I guess I'm confused.
I'm not replacing your ad. I'm augmenting your ads where your ads don't exist, or where my ads have a higher. Where Google deems my ad is more relevant than your ad, my ad may show up. So there may be some scenarios on specific terms that my ad's more relevant and it shows up for yours, but it's still linking to you and it's augmenting your search campaign. No individual can run a search campaign that covers 100% of the keywords. So
but I think you're killing a lot of the benefit.
I'm going to give Adam the last word on that, and let's just move on. I'll go ahead and put up the speaker's contact information here, and then we'll take the next question from Sean.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, this is Sean Crotty with art.com. Question for Tim and Dan. If I took Tim's suggestion and in my programs decided to go with some super affiliates and let them bid on our perfect site, on our trademarks, how would you position that? How would I position that to all the other affiliates who would then flood me with the, wait a minute, you're letting them do it, not me? How would you set that up and communicate it to your affiliate base?
It's basically just...
Or is it just a secret little side deal that you do and you don't tell anybody?
It's generally secret, but but also it's you say we just had a policy change. We don't allow bidding on pay-per-click terms anymore, our branded terms, or whatever your change is going to be, and you just announce it. There's
so we're at that position now. We're at that position now, but how do I go ahead and allow some people, because there's always affiliates out there policing each other.
Right. I mean, what I would do is I would probably not publicly announce that we have these 3 affiliates. If someone asks, you could say...
They'll know within minutes, though.
Yeah, they'll
they always do. When you
but as people ask, you could say, look, we have a couple of super affiliates who have made a commitment to the program. They've stepped up to bat. They're spending big money on our behalf, and they're going big with the keyword portfolio. They're going deep into the tail of the distribution. They're not just poaching the trademark. And because these guys have made a commitment to us, we've put them in a special category.
So then I have to come up with sort of a cutoff of which the other affiliates would have to get above that threshold to get into that special category.
Why not?
So, okay.
You set the bar and say,
So
if you can
just
perform at this level, you can have it too.
And you may pick 3 people, and you say, hey, I need you to drive 200K in sales a month, and one person drops down to 15K in sales a month, and you might say, we're going to march someone else in, and we can't leave you in the top category.
We have no problem with performance based. I mean, that's what we do. It's just it's just dumb to have dozens of people bidding on the same terms, because they will make it pretty close to an efficient marketplace, and then no one has margins, and it's not worth it for even your super affiliates to stay in the game. Yeah, that's the point.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Next question. Rose will bring the mic over here.
Excuse me. This gentleman over here had his hand up for a while. Back. Hi, I'm a full-time pay-per-click affiliate, and one of the things that you were talking about, bridge pages and landing pages, and I've made a substantial income developing relationship with specific merchants and doing bridge pages, but there's a new Google policy I'm not sure everyone's aware of.
No bridge page.
No bridge pages anymore. So, and what I'd also like to mention is that a lot of us affiliates, we're not just doing traffic arbitrage to make our sales. We're doing data feeds. We're doing opt-in pages where we're building lists and making sales on the back end through incentivized offers. So the creativity and ingenuity of thousands of affiliates is a very, very powerful force. And I think a lot of merchants really do not appreciate that, is that what affiliates can do is, because you have like thousands of minds working together with different ideas and different approaches than just, one ad agency or just somebody working in the advertising department. And I think I agree with what you were saying, Tim, is that developing a relationship with the affiliates is really the key, because a lot of merchants I won't work with because they won't put the Google tracking code on their page when I'm doing my pay-per-click. And just little things like that, or they won't respond to my emails. And so developing a relationship, just doing little things, and I'll bend over backwards for merchants that will help me out, and they're losing a lot of sales because you're just not doing simple things to reach out to their affiliates.
Yeah, and then to kind of touch on something you said there, with ad agencies versus affiliates, okay, I'm admittedly very biased, but ad agencies, you might get a junior rep working on your account. It's not the agency, it's that person. Okay, here, my livelihood depends on making these programs work. So I'm going to put a lot more thought and work and value add into it to make sure that it works over the long term.
Exactly. When you have to pay your mortgage, you're going to make that.
Wait a minute, but again,
you're going to make that program work.
It's kind of comparing apples to oranges. It's like, well, Tim is better than the worst search manager we've heard. The fact is, I run. What I do is I run search programs for clients as an agency for a living. And guess what? I got to pay a mortgage too. I have to do it. And you know what? Our results have been phenomenal. And we've beaten out the results that there were some in-place search affiliates that were basically the search efforts for companies, and we've beaten them, and we've gotten better. Yeah, okay. The fact is, good people are good people. Good relationships are good relationships. The one thing I will throw out is, in the end, a search arbitrage affiliate, their goal is to generate profits for themselves. Now, part of the way they do that is by indirectly making you profit, but their ultimate goal, end of day, if there are certain words that they don't make as much on, and they're not going to go for the absolute goals of your program. They'll go for what you're incenting them to do, but it's never going to be perfectly matched with your overall profitability.
And the search agencies don't charge you any money, and they do it all for free for the goodness of your company.
Well, we do actually. In the end, but there are good and there are bad. There are folks that are there at the profit, for the profitability side. If you are paying your search affiliates a straight bounty, it's not going to perfectly align with your business goals. But if you can take an agency, you can give them a straight bounty goal, and they become like a CPA network. Or you can give them, the key is making sure everybody's goals are aligned with your own. And everybody, wants to come home with money, and in the end.
All I'm saying is that you have a much, all I'm saying is you're increasing the pie, because instead of just, it's like communism versus capitalism.
Well, but now you're
capitalism,
talking about,
you have thousands of people.
But you're talking about
doing
non-search. You're not talking about non-search. You're talking about why affiliates are good, and I agree. Affiliates are good. We're at the affiliate summit. Yes, incentives good. We want those things. But now we're talking about a space where there's a pie, and we're not going to increase the size of the pie. We're going to decide about how to divvy it up, and that's why this is the different discussion than do we like incentives.
So let's why don't we cap it there? Maybe move on to next question.
A quick follow-up, if I may, Dan.
Okay.
Just Mike touched on a very important point. You have to align your goals with those of your affiliates. If you're paying a flat fee and their media comes out of that, and the company makes everything above the flat fee, that's not in alignment. So what we do a lot more of these days are net deals. Okay, what's the real margin on what you're selling? Let's net out the media and split what's left. Okay, now we're completely aligned. I'll make you every incremental profit dollar I can.
And now you're not technically an affiliate.
Not coming out of my hide anymore.
Well, now, to me, honestly, you're not an affiliate at that point. You're kind of a performance marketing agency.
Well, call it what you want.
So it comes down to you have to align one with the other, and there are good and there are bad in both. There are search affiliates going to take your top 2 terms and leave it there, and there are folks who will go down the entire catalog and find terms that you won't. And there are agencies that'll do one, and there are agencies that won't. There's good, there's bad. The key is finding the right relationships, doing it right, and setting up systems where you're both incented on the same side of the table. And that's usually where the relationship mistakes are made.
The beauty of the affiliated industry is that it's set up so that the merchants only pay for performance, and the affiliates only market the companies that they can perform on, and if it's done right, everybody wins. Everyone's in this to make money, and that's what keeps us all aligned. And as long as you have relationships where everyone's winning and there's communication, when someone starts losing, there's a lot of times where your affiliates will just disappear, and you're like, well, wait, I'm a merchant. I made $5,000 from this affiliate last month, and you have no idea that the affiliate lost $2,000 and decided to focus their time somewhere else. If you have the communication and you build the relationships and everybody's winning, you can make the adjustments necessary to your program to make sure that everyone is aligned and no one's losing out on the relationship. And it works both ways. From the affiliate side, if I'm driving something that's driving a lot of traffic and no sales, and the merchant isn't winning, and I'm making money and they're not, then that's not a good relationship either. And it needs to be adjusted to make sure everyone's on the same page and everyone's pushing the boat forward and no one's getting left behind.
So we have time for probably 1 or 2 more questions. We have Jay in the front.
Yep. So going back to the trademark question, knowing that there's some competitive risk in this, could you ever see tiering the payout and actually accepting a lower payout for the branded term? Because that's a way of giving value back to the merchant who built up that brand, and yet still getting something out of it for your efforts.
Harder to track, so just more legwork on our end. Not necessarily wouldn't work.
The key is don't at least watch it on the high end. It is very tough to get the metrics perfect.
How do you police it?
But
People will cheat.
We'll see, again, inexperienced merchants that will just say, oh my God, this guy's saving the world for me. He's bringing me all this traffic, and all he's doing is bidding on your brand. You make sure that's not the guy you're paying 70, 80% commission to. Understand that, in a sense, maybe you're not going to do formal tiering, but you should at least have in mind when you figure out who's getting your top offers, where the real sales are coming from. And if somebody's doing their stuff on generic terms, maybe they need a little bit more. Or if somebody has a site with genuine content that's actually driving things, they may deserve more than a search affiliate. Ultimately, understand, think of them as slightly different channels. Affiliate is kind of bringing you several channels in one. You have to understand, like any good marketer does, the value of each, the lifetime value of those folks, and possibly tier, even if it's not in a formal manner.
I think it sounds reasonable. It's a good question.
There's been quite a few hands, but that gentleman back there had it up for a while. Excuse me.
Round 2 at the bar tonight.
Hi, I have a question. What I do is TV infomercials, and we spend millions of dollars a week on branding the products that we sell on TV. And then we have the affiliates, which we don't mind so much. We started out in the beginning, we had the affiliates that would take our branded search terms and work with them. But then we said, as long as you guys are also branding, using like non-branded search terms, like for air purifier, you guys would do that rather than just Ionic Pro, which is our product. So the question is, once we started that was great, and all the affiliates were doing all the other search terms, but then they just started narrowing down to only the converting search terms. How do we guarantee that, as a merchant, that we know that you guys are going to spend money really trying to brand our term as well?
Okay, the answer is you can't and you shouldn't expect it. And there's a very simple reason. When we do large-scale campaigns, we get statistically valid results at the keyword level. In other words, we know exactly how much each keyword is worth. And big surprise, branded terms are worth more than the generic ones. So we're going to optimize it so we're making the most profit on each keyword. And that usually means dialing back the bids on more general terms and raising bids on
But isn't that the objective of the reason that we decided to give you the branded search terms is because of that reason, that you're going to go out and generalize it?
Well, this is where incentives come in. This is where incentives comes in. Ultimately, when you go up to one of these guys with a flat CPA, I'm going to give you $50 per sign up. You're saying the sign up for generic terms and the sign up for branded terms, you're paying them the same amount, even though Tim knows it's more expensive for him to get a generic sign up.
Right.
So honestly, in that sense, the payout's kind of wrong. Now, it's tough to tier, in that case,
Which is
but I
what Jay
have
was
seen it.
talking about, yeah.
I've actually seen it. There are a couple of large merchants brands. What they do is, listen, I'll give you $10 per sign up on the branded terms, and I'll give you 50 on the generic, and which actually matches what a lot of companies do with their internal search campaigns. They'll have a CPO allowance here, but it comes down to trust. You don't do this to throw this out to 100 affiliates. You do your trusted affiliates, and you tell them it's trusted search affiliates, and you maybe do that type of tiering. But ultimately, this is why it comes back again to making sure your incentive systems are set up.
So as an affiliate, you guys don't mind getting a lower payout for branded search terms, is that correct?
Well, he minds.
Well, let's put it this way.
Well,
We
okay,
prefer
I'm
a
saying-
higher payout for the unbranded.
And then you guys will work harder on the the
I
unbranded, is that
think what
correct?
you have to understand is when you're looking at the keyword level, that if the term doesn't convert enough to be profitable, then it's losing money for the campaign and that keyword will get dropped. If it's profitable at some level, the bids will still be there for that level that it's profitable for. But if it turns negative where I'm losing money on that keyword, I'm not going to keep it running for the goodness of your company because I'm losing money on it. And if I identify that a term isn't making me money at any level, at the minimum bid levels, then it gets shut off. So you start with a big campaign to figure out what works, and you trim the fat until you just have the terms that are actually gonna work at the payout, at the conversion rate of your site, and at the levels that we're paying.
Well, or you
So
require it.
you can work on the conversions, you can work on the payouts, and make sure that if you want people to target unbranded terms, you know from your own experience what they convert at. You need to pay the affiliates enough to make that profitable at the minimum bid levels. Otherwise, there's no incentive for them to stay there.
I've seen relationships where it's basically required, and what you do is, listen, you may take a little bit of a hit on those, but you're making it up on the other end. Ultimately, again, the relationship, the incentives have to be set up to be in place. If the search affiliates are not doing it for you, then you need either different search affiliates or you need to look at your internal processes and maybe just run the stuff in-house.
We're out of time with that. Let's thank our panelists.
And for those of you that are interested in what goes on in the black hearts of super affiliates, we have a white paper called How to Attract Super Affiliates. If you want to give me your card, I'll make sure you get a copy of that.